Yo, Sunny here, and this is the Audiofuse by Arturia. Meant to be the next generation in design for high quality desktop interface, it is unlike anything that you've seen before. Now, huge shout out to my man Native Poet for allowing me to take footage of his equipment during our session. I'm helping him to build his own project studio and to set the listening environment to be pretty adequate given the budget. It's definitely a work in progress and it's going to take some time, but I'll leave links to his page down below so you guys can check him out. So, for starters, the first thing that anybody's going to notice about the Audiofuse is the fact that there is so much going on here. For how compact the Audiofuse is, you're talking 4 analog in and output, a pair in the front and back, and 2 1/8" out, complemented with MIDI I/O, word clock and SPDIF, a DAT, 3 USB-A ports, phono input, and a bunch of 1/4" sockets. And because of the size of the Audiofuse, it's easy to transport from project studio to project studio. Build quality is phenomenal. It's a nice and sturdy aluminum chassis, and actually it's a bit on the heavy side, but the Discrete Pro preamp is a definite step up from most standard computer interfaces. As far as specs goes, despite what the page says, the preamps are flat to plus or minus 0.0 decibels from 20 Hz to 20 kHz, with the gain ranging from 2.5 to 76 decibels, which is more than what most people will need. Just note that the posted measurements from Arturia are A-weighted, which I don't think is necessarily appropriate for this application, but hey, marketing. 2 things that really stood out to me during my short time with the Audiofuse is 1, the direct-to-computer mix knob, which is not a typical thing I see on interfaces. It essentially allows you to control the global balance of the direct input signal and the playback coming from the computer to all the outputs. To be honest, I kind of find it to be more of a trade-off because it's rather limiting and doesn't exactly work the way I intend. In my case, and in this situation being the engineer, using only the Audiofuse, I had to hear it the way that the talent wanted his cue to be while I was mixing, which wasn't exactly ideal. I would much rather have multiple independent mixes, but again, the trade-off here is for the size and portability of the Audiofuse. The second thing is the fact that the Audiofuse offers both 1/8" and 1/4" out for Q1 and 2, as well as A/B monitoring. Most people won't be able to take advantage of this, but you have the option to have multiple paired cues. The Audiofuse is class compliant and uses a generic driver and USB 2 connectivity, meaning you only need to plug and play and it will be compatible with your device without a driver, regardless of the operating system. There is the included Audiofuse Control Center software that you can download that lets you assess the direct monitoring and tweak things on the computer. I have noticed that it gets a bit warm, but I'm not really surprised that there's so much under the hood. And if anything, the aluminum chassis is basically acting as a heat sink to dissipate the heat. I know that makes some people uncomfortable, so it is something to point out. But all things considered, the Audiofuse gives me good hopes for the future of music technology. Good things are getting cheap, and cheap things are getting good. Like, for instance, the direct monitoring, under the right buffer size, is extremely low for USB 2. It's still not as good as Thunderbolt or some high-end custom-made drivers, but it is getting there, and the fact is that this is much more affordable and compact. Given that, I'm pretty impressed. What the Audiofuse has going for it compared to those high-end gears is its versatility and portability. Besides the direct monitoring, if you're only recording yourself and you're looking for an all-in-one interface to take up little desktop space, this is perfect for that project studio. Aside from that, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I will leave links to everything down below, and be sure to check out my social media channels. I post teasers, updates, and a bunch of randomness to them. This is Sunny, that's the word, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.